Welcome to the Cotton Club Radio. I'm your host, Cotton Club family. And today's conversation is going to be a conversation that I think is very much needed. And the conversation is going to be called The Constant Gaslighting of Black Americans, family. You heard what I said. The constant gaslighting of Black Americans. Why am I saying that, family? You and I know because I believe that the people who watch Cotton Club Radio are intelligent people with critical thinking skills. And if you're on social media, what are you seeing all throughout your timeline, all throughout social media? Videos upon videos of people, primarily people from immigrant backgrounds, gaslighting Black Americans. We saw when the Asians started gaslighting Black Americans, you got guys coming online talking about we don't care if Black Americans don't buy from our businesses. We don't care if Black Americans don't support our businesses. This is what the Asians were saying. Fast forward a few weeks later, we stop buying from their businesses, and many of them are crying about it. Many of them are taking down those same videos. So we know the contradiction in a lot of the gaslighting. A lot of the time, people start backtracking, but when they stick to it, it's interesting. So the Asians, we saw them gaslighting. A lot of them getting on, making TikToks, talking crazy about Black Americans. Oh, Black Americans, this. Oh, we don't care if you don't buy our products. You need us. You need our nail shops. You need our weave, etc. The Asians. And we told them, that's okay. You can keep your nail shops. You can keep your weave. We can buy Black. We don't need you. That's what we told the Asians. And then what else started happening, family? You started seeing other people gaslighting Black Americans. But one individual who I want to bring up tonight, that his words can't go unnoticed, and we got to bring his ass up, family. Y'all know who he is. I don't really follow a lot of these African dudes, but we saw what he said on the 154 podcast with Godfrey and the other Nigerian dude, David Ayalua, whatever his name is. And what did he say, family? When Godfrey and the Nigerian dude, which I do not like, Godfrey is cool, but he a switch rider. Sometimes he cool, and sometimes he just be kind of playing with the passive aggressiveness, and he don't really, stand up and defend us when I feel like he should. Sometimes he do, sometimes he don't. He's a iffy kind of individual. But his Nigerian co-hosts don't like him. I don't like him. But anyway, they had this David Ayaloa dude on the show. And the topic of conversation came about language. And this fool, family, this fool went so crazy to say, and I know all of y'all heard what I'm about to say, but Cotton Club, I got to say it. I got to say what I got to say. But this African dude said with a straight face that the Black American accent, Southern accent, is a Nigerian accent slowed down. And he went forward into giving his example, etc. And we heard the passive aggressive undertone because a lot of these African dudes like to gaslight us, and they do it in this passive aggressive undertone where they try to act like they're coming off meaningful while playing in our face and being very disrespectful. We know what that is. We're intellectuals. We know critical thinking. We call that face value, where dude will look at you a certain kind of way to make you drop your guard, but have evil intent, have bad intent, but their face will have a smile on it. That's face value. We know what that is. That's that passive aggressive stuff. A lot of these Africans and foreigners do that when it comes to Black Americans. Nonetheless, this David Ayalua dude passive aggressively said that the Black American accent, the Southern accent, is a Nigerian accent. Slow down. That's what he said, family. Slow down. Let's talk about that. Why is it so disrespectful? It's very disrespectful, family, because number one, there is no such thing as one variation of a Black American accent. So what Black American accent is this man actually talking about? Because the Black American accent, the Southern accent, has multiple variations depending on regional where you are. You have your Mississippi Southern accent. You have your Georgia Southern accent, Virginia, Alabama, Texas, Southern accent, North Carolina, South Carolina, Southern accents, all throughout the South, family, where my peoples is from. You understand? Yes, where my peoples is from, where my FBA family is from. Both sides. All of them have regional variations and different variations of a Southern accent because there's culture in different places in the South. We are not one monolith. Yeah, we are on code, but we're not one monolith. Texas folk talk a little different than North Carolina and South Carolina folk. North Carolina and South Carolina folk talk a little different than Georgia, a little different than Mississippi. So for David Ayalua to insert his African feebleness into the conversation of Black American accents and wholeheartedly say that the Southern accent is a Nigerian accent, slow down. Not only is it preposterous, but it's maniacal. It makes no sense, family. I'll tell you where the Southern accent derived from. The Southern accent, though multiple regional variations of Southern accent, this accent derived from slavery. It derived from our ancestors trying to create a system of survival under massive amounts of oppression, tyranny, and YT violence. This accent, though looked upon by foreigners as nothing, this accent is coded. David Ayaloa, you're talking on things you know nothing of. And this is the problem that I have with a lot of these foreigners. They get in these circles where they get comfortable with each other. And then they start talking about us. And they start sounding stupid. You understand? And they riling each other up too. Yeah, you saw Godfrey and the other dude. Yeah, that does sound familiar. You're Nigerian. You don't know nothing about no FBAs. Man, stop playing with me, man. You dudes are feeble-minded. But the Black American accent, the Southern accent, came from struggle. It came from illiteracy. You understand? A lot of time, they weren't letting us write. If you got caught learning how to read, your life could be in danger. You understand? So in many of our instances, a lot of our ancestors were illiterate. But what did we do, family? We taught each other how to read. We went against the grain. Secretly, we got together and started reading and decoding messages and started decoding literature and feeding our minds secretly different understandings of this English colonized language. And what did we do? We created Ebonics. We created different variations of English that you and I can only understand. Now it's mainstream, so everybody wants a piece of it. Everybody think that they know it, but it derived from coded language, family. That's the Black Southern accent. It comes from coded language, not African coded language, Black American coded language. But what stood out more about that interview with the David Ayaloa dude? And what made him so passive aggressive? Because what he was doing, he was propping himself up and belittling us. And this is the problem that I have with a lot of these foreigners. In order to make themselves feel better, they have to prop themselves up and belittle us all into one. At the same time, what did he say? He said that if you slow down the Nigerian accent and add some subservientness to it and just talk a little lower, then you get to the Southern accent. Why we got to be subservient? Huh? And the crazy thing about that is, family, that ain't even the Black American family. We are not subservient people. We don't come from a language of subservient behavior. Harriet Tubman wasn't subservient, family. Nat Turner wasn't subservient, family. Denmark Vesey wasn't subservient. Frederick Douglass wasn't subservient. Sojourner Truth wasn't subservient. Who the hell is this man talking about? This is the problem that I have with foreigners, family. When they talk about us, you're goddamn right. It's all projection. They talking about themselves. Because we know what a little bit of Europeans did to a lot of Africans in Africa. We know what 30 Europeans did go into Africa and colonize Africa the way that they did and made them subservient because those Africans outnumber those Europeans, and yet them Europeans run they whole we got to speak truth to power. I ain't letting this type of stuff slide, family. I'm not letting it slide. Because if we know from history, if you let one thing slide with these foreigners, family, then they go slipping in another one. You remember when they used to say, when they peep this, when they used to say Caribbeans created hip hop, they used to say that. They can't say that shit no more. That ain't a thing no more. Because why? Why did they say that? They tried to slip in because Kool Herc was Jamaican. So if Kool Herc was Jamaican, then he created hip hop. Not mentioning that Kool Herc assimilated into Black American culture. All his break beats were all Black American. He was playing James Brown. He was playing all type of Black American music. He couldn't play Jamaican music because people would have kicked him out the club. They would have kicked him out the basement because there wasn't no clubs at that time. They was in the basement. They'd have kicked him out the basement and say, hey, take that with you. That's what they would have told Kool Herc if Kool Herc played reggae, whatever that is, to a Black American audience in the Bronx in 1972. They would have told him, okay, mun, you can take that, you can take your ting, and you can take that elsewhere because we don't get down with that. You understand? So we know that he had to assimilate into Black American culture. We let these people off with things, and then they start to create new things out of those things that we let them slide with, and then they come up with rubbish. Let's talk about something else, family. Because for a long time, we was letting Pan-Africans dictate our relations with the diaspora. And I'm going to keep it funky with you. They messed it up. They put these Africans on a pedestal. They put the Caribbean on a pedestal, and they devalued the foundational Black Americans here. They devalued us. And they didn't talk about us too much. They started to say that all glory of man and humanity came out of Africa. All the princes and kings and pharaohs out of Egypt started humanity, and life began in Africa, and all men derived from that. And it all sounded good for a little while. It sounded good for a little while. But then Africans started coming here, and their whole demeanor was off. They coming over here, bringing that African mentality over here. I'm the real African American, and you're just some diluted Negro. They brought that mentality over here, family. And they started using terms like Akata and Jareer and all of these other terms. And what did we do, family? We let it slide too goddamn long. To where it started to become, the disrespect started, the passive aggressiveness and disrespect started to become normalized. And then we started seeing some of our Caribbean people started doing it with the Yankee whole thing, where we were saying, hey, brother, how you doing, man? What's up, man? Yeah, you got an accent and you a little musty, but you cool. You dig? You my peoples. And what they say, you're a Yankee boy over there. That Yankee boy over there. What that mean? You understand? I say all this, family, follow me. I say this to say that when David Ayaloa made his comment, the disrespectful comment, by devaluing and belittling Black American culture and Black American linguistics, by saying that our linguistics are not Black American, they're actually Nigerian. That's called cultural erasure. That's what that's called. And when you don't respect a culture, when you don't appreciate a culture that made you valid, that made you somebody, David Ayaloa, the dude who played Martin Luther King Jr., when you make your barren bones and your money, your millions of dollars off of Black American culture, and then you purposely try to draw no extinction by devaluing our culture and trying to erase our culture and making our culture synonymous with Nigerian culture, when these are two distinctive cultures, that's disrespectful. And I'm noticing that this is a common phenomenon with the immigrant in trying to either erase Black American contributions or create a false equivalency with Black American contributions, like hip hop, like Puerto Ricans. Like, what were they doing? Like carrying crates and like doing stuff, like maybe on the outer circle watching us dance and like learning from us. And then all of a sudden they said they created hip hop 50-50. This is the problem. This false equivalency. The David Ayalua guy would talking about Southern accents being Nigerian accents. Slow down. The false equivalency. There is no equivalence in that. The Nigerian accent is a Igbo accent mixed with all the other little tribe accents that's irrelevant. No one cares about. We got the whole world talking like us. We got the whole world dressing like us. We got the whole world thinking like us. We got the whole world copying us and mimicking us. Nobody else got it like that. Ain't nobody trying to mimic no Africans, bro. The African is trying to mimic the Black American. It ain't the other way around. And what makes this scenario so disturbing, how the arrogance can get out of control with some of these Africans, where they'll say things like Black Americans don't got no culture and all of that weird stuff. Because, and how they'll use us as a reference point to devalue and gaslight us every chance they get. If you look all over social media, they're all tag teaming us. You got the Latinos, the Mexicans, you got the Caribbeans, you got the Africans, and then you got the YT. They're all as a conglomerate uniting to gaslight the hell out of us. Interestingly, that when the Africans started selling Africans, formed a partnership with the Europeans. 500 years later, they're still forming a partnership with Europeans to gaslight us, to treat us disrespectfully. And family, what's the solution? Yeah, I got time. Because I don't like to just get up here and just spew a lot of raw facts. I like to talk about solutions. I like to talk about solutions too. Because Cotton Club Radio is all about solutions. And I like doing what I do with a lot of these tethers. I got to get at them. But the solution is simple. With people like disrespectful foreigners like David Ayaloa and his comments and the gaslighting from multiple people, the Chinese, the Arabs, the Africans, teaming up, all the YTs all teaming up on Black Americans, gaslighting the hell out of us in all variations. The Carmelo Anthony situation happened with the him getting 35 years, which we know that this was the ultimate display of YT supremacy, and them showing us that the only law that they have available to you and me is the common law of YT supremacy. They showed you with that case with Carmelo Anthony, where all the facts show that this man was defending himself. But somehow, some way, all of that got ignored. The fact that he had epilepsy, the fact that the weapon that he had was legal by anyone's metric, by any law standard, it was legal. That he was invited under that tent and that he was a victim of bullying. How Mr. Metcalf and his brother were trying to bully Mr. Anthony. All of that ignored, meant nothing. How the fact that Carmelo has epilepsy, family, anyone who knows what epilepsy is, family, you could have a seizure or a heart attack. And if you fall the wrong way and hit your head the wrong way, it could be lights out for you. You can't afford to be fighting nobody, especially somebody that's 100 pounds over you. So, of course, Carmelo wasn't comfortable with that situation with these two YT boys running up on him, talking about some, hey, you got to hit the road. Of course he wasn't comfortable with that. But by anyone's standard, family, any other situation, let Carmelo be Chinese, Mexican, Puerto Rican, El Salvadorian, or YT. That case, he's innocent. So we know that the only common law that they have on the books for you and me, family, is white supremacy, nothing else. So at the end of the day, we got the YTs gaslighting us. And the solution is delineate your ass the hell off. Because that seems to be the only thing that's working, family. We are against all odds. We don't have many options. It's you and it's me, family. It's FBA or nothing. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I feel. And I never felt that way before. But I'm not going to have people getting online forming TikToks every other day, disrespecting you and me in all ways and shapes and forms. Tag teaming us, just getting clicks and views all goddamn day, disrespecting Black Americans. They online on TikTok spaces, forming spaces all day, disrespecting you and me, trying to separate you and me, trying to say, yeah, this FBA thing is cool, but you shouldn't do that. Why not? Why not? Why isn't it cool all of a sudden? Why wasn't it cool when you were calling us Yankees? Why didn't you say, hey, hold on, maybe we shouldn't call them Yankees, man? They just black people just like us. That ain't cool. Why it ain't cool when we say we not Yankees, we foundational Black Americans? Why isn't it cool when we define ourselves? But it was cool when you was trying to define us and you was telling us what we were. It was all cool. Everything was all fine. When we was some Akatas, everything was cool. We had no problems. The diaspora was just as cool as the other side of the pillow. Nobody had no problems. The only problem began when we said, we ain't no goddamn Akatas and we ain't no goddamn Yankees. We're foundational Black Americans. That's it, family. All of a sudden, we wasn't cool no more. So it's on us, family, to make sure that we continue to delineate and we continue to do what we're doing, having this type of communion, making sure that when they put out videos like David Ayaloa and Godfrey in the 54-1, when they put out videos putting out propaganda like Black American accent is a Nigerian accent, slow down, we nip that in the button. We say, you know what, dude, you dudes is out of line and you're being disrespectful. Apologize. And what this fool doing? He all over online apologizing. Why apologize for? What you apologizing for? You said how you feel. Keep it funky. And that's how you know we different. He said we were subservient. Let me introduce these fools to Black Americans because they don't understand us. This is the cultural disconnect. The biggest cultural disconnect is that these people learn about us through word of mouth. They don't know shit about us. They don't know nothing about Black Americans. To even put the word subservient in the conversation with Black Americans, you know nothing about us. Subservient. What does that even mean? Kowtow, we don't do that. Belittle, be underneath, we don't do that. We dominate. Be small, be invisible, we don't do that. We get all the attention, even when we don't want it. You watching us. You're studying us. You're trying to learn from us. You understand? That don't even make no sense. We can't be subservient when we have a culture that's dominating the whole goddamn planet. What kind of group you know is subservient and got all the cultural influence? They teaching you how to raise your kids. Your kids want to dance, walk, talk, act, think like me. Fool. So no, our accents ain't subservient. They're coded. Don't get it messed up. But you wouldn't know that code because you ain't a part of this part over here. You understand? We don't rock with you over here. You get no love over here. And I'm going to keep it funky with you, family. I'm going to even go so far to say, you put another one of these British dudes in a black role in a movie, I ain't watching it, man. These dudes could kick rocks. I don't even want to watch him no more. It's just too much, man. I just can't. I don't like them. I don't, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy is because they don't have to go the route that they're going, you know? The passive aggressive disrespect doesn't need to be, because it's weird, because in one instance they'll talk that Pan-African and stuff, we all need to be one, but it's all we need to be one under your narrative, under your dictatorship. You peep that, family? Like, it was cool when they was delineating. When they was delineating from us, everything seemed to be perfectly fine. But until we said, we're going to delineate on our terms, then all hell broke loose. Like, it's very weird with these people. It's, we need to be all one in one sentence, and then it's propping themselves up to belittle us in the next sentence. It's fake. It's fake and phony. And I ain't having it, family. I'm finished with it. You understand? So the gaslighting is over, and I ain't really trying to hear none of that. You dig?
King. Look. Let your angel sing. I ain't twisted, this ain't the Henny talking for me. This is literally Malcolm Little talking through me. I ain't possessed, this is just when spirit meets the flesh, and a revolutionary is born, nothing less. It's hard for me to cope with stress, especially when I see the world much different from the rest. I can't sleep, nightmares, waking up, cold sweat, wondering if I ever made it, will they do me like the rest? For my black souls who really too upset to rest, so they wander through my dreams, please tell me what this means.
Club Radio.